Morning Crossfire today, shall we, across Nigeria, from the north to the south, the east and the west. How is the government coping with the huge infrastructural deficits that Nigeria has? And is the gap being closed at all? Are we meeting up? Comparing this with the population explosion and the needs of these population and the people in Nigeria. We're having this conversation for the next 1.5 hours on 99.3 Nigeria Info. And I'm being joined by Adewuni, who walks into the studio right now to join on this conversation. You bring your questions on. We're having a frank conversation, like I'd like to see on the Morning Crossfire. No point throwing around emotions. Bring me facts. Talk about the numbers. Talk about the figures. Let's argue on that basis. Let's have a fantastic debate on the show this morning. We're live on Facebook and YouTube at Nigeria Info FM, and I'd like you to join the live feed right now. You can watch us in the studio. You can also reach out on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM. And you can tell us what you think about this conversation. If you're listening live, that can be done anywhere you are in the world on our website, Nigeria Info. That's www.nigeriainfo.fm. And you can leave us your comment on any of those platforms. WhatsApp is also available for you. 08095975805, 08095975805 is the number to send your messages to. I'll take as many as possible. As usual, you know how we love to start. I'm Wemimo Adewuni. I like to start by taking a feel from you. But first, let me say a big good morning to Ajuri Ngalale. He's a senior special assistant to the president on public affairs. Ajuri, you're back in Lagos. Welcome back.
Good morning to you, and good morning to the great people of Lagos and those listening from anywhere in the world. It's always a privilege to be with you.
Right. He's ready for you. I threw your tease on Twitter yesterday and he went, hey, I didn't say I was going to answer
every question. Yes, because anybody can ask anything, so I want to be careful about
on
what we're
infrastructure.
saying.
You almost always have an answer.
Yeah, by the grace of God.
So let's see how this goes today.
The truth helps.
So let me start off by taking a feeler from you.
Yeah.
What do you make of infrastructural growth or lack of it in Nigeria? That's for the listener.
Okay.
Let's take a sample of the opinions before we put the facts on the table.
Right.
If you'd like to call us, here are the numbers.
Call us on 01-277-0993, 01-277-1993, 01-277-2993, and 01-277-3993. This is Nigeria Info. We are listening.
Yes, this is Nigeria Info. We are listening. Let's start here. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Kenneth. I'm calling from Lagos.
Good to have you here, Kenneth.
Exactly. Thank you very much. On the infrastructural deficits, I'm going to comment only on roads.
Okay.
And that is the road I apply regularly. The road from Ibadan to Akure. That is the Ondo State capital. And thereafter down to Abuja. Honestly, if you begin that route before you get to the Ilesha bypass, by December, the government tries to do a sort of a patch-up on those roads, and by the time you pass through those roads now, they're already giving way. You see, the solutions they are having on those roads, which are very, very old, it's not by patching, it's by resurfacing those roads. Then after that, when you get to Ikare, Akoko, you are going to Abuja, those roads are terrible. And they've been on like that for many, many years. I think such infrastructure this should be looked into. That is the only route taking people from the southwest to Abuja, a major capital city. So I think government should look at that particular road because of the danger it poses. Thank you very much.
All right. I wrote that down already. We'll be talking about it. Good morning.
Morning, Moimo.
Good morning to you.
My name is Chibueze.
Welcome, Chibueze.
Yes. The truth is, the people that rule us, they want to hear what they want to hear, that everything is perfect. But I think they should listen to the average Nigerian. If the complaint they are getting is that everything is okay, so be it. But as far as we are concerned, things are rough in Nigeria. The roads are bad. Everywhere the roads are bad. There's nothing to say this road or that road. They should please help Nigerians And again, they should tell the president that whoever is advising the president on insecurity is advising him wrongly. I don't know if security and insecurity is also an infrastructure, but they should tell him that Nigerians are crying. Nigerians are crying. The people the president sent to protect us are killing us. You know, apart from the fact that we are fighting insurgency in Nigeria, the police and the army are not friendly to Nigerians.
Right, I get your point. I know where you're coming from. We had that conversation earlier on today, but let's stay with infrastructure for now, okay? Abdul is in Apapa. Abdul, good morning.
Good morning, Nigeria Info.
Morning, Abdul.
Well, I'm talking about the road deficit. I'm going to talk the rest of the Northwest.
Okay.
Since the incoming of this administration, there's not any significant project. Despite the fact that there's a serious crisis, people are dying and they have voted for this government massively. And at the end of the day, they have nothing to be given. Look at Kaduna, Abuja road. It has become a dead trap. Land that work is less than 30%. And even Katsina State, Kano, Katsina, the road that has been started is still, there's nothing significant. So we don't really understand how are going to benefit the government, or how the government impacts on the people that have been suffering day in, day out. So actually there's a serious issue. Nothing. They say they will move water to Lokaja. Still we are seeing in a picture, nothing. So I think there's a lot. When you come to power, zero. So we don't really know what we are doing. And this is 5-6 years down the line. So we don't know what the government wants to really tell us and how it will convince us that there's a progress. When?
Right. Thank you, Abdul. That's been noted. I'm writing them down. Jude is here from Surulere. Good morning, Jude.
Good morning, Wemimo.
Good morning.
Right. The problem we have in this country is lack of punitive measures. You know what I mean? I live in the UK for a very long time, and you see, people have the tendency not to do things the right way anywhere in the world. Now, the difference between those other countries and Nigeria is that when you mess up in the United Kingdom or America, you get punished. You know what I mean? So the government know this law. They all travel all the time. They say the things themselves. They come back here. They try to make the law here. It all looks like they're joking. They say it. They don't do it. And at the end of the day, we keep on continuing the same cycle, the same thing happening. It's really, if you take a trip to a police station or public hospital, you understand what I'm talking about. You see the whole lot of impunity, because you know why? Nobody's punishing anybody. They do these things and they go scot-free, and they don't care.
Right, Jude, thank you. Let's look with Isaac, who's in Festac. Isaac, good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Isaac.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Isaac, good morning. Go ahead.
Yes, talking about infrastructure, I must confess, this administration have done a lot of things.
Hello, Isaac?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Okay, like I was saying, I said this administration have done a lot of investment on infrastructure. Let's give them a kudos for that. You don't just condemn everything about a particular government. These are people that...
Oh, I'm so sorry about that, Isaac. But thank you for calling. Let's speak with Vitaly. She's at Ijesha, or he. I don't know which it is. Hello.
From Medugri to... Are you listening?
Vitaly, you're live on radio. Welcome to the show.
Oh, good morning, my sister.
Welcome.
I am calling you from Ijesha.
Okay, please go ahead.
Lagos.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I think I will be in a better position as a driver to give you insight on the decay on our roads. I cannot specifically mention any other thing because that is my area of coverage. There was this proposal that I made that was about 3 years ago, using the community, to repair the area of their coverage. Let me put it this way. If it's Mushin, you can employ good hands from Mushin, and engineers will monitor them to work on the roads in Mushin. I had one of my friends just a few minutes ago talking about Ibadan, Akure,
to Lokoja Road. It's an eyesore. You go to Enugu, Onitsha Road. That is a very big, I don't know, trap for people to, to enter and die. You go from Otukpo, from Nsukka to Otukpo, you will ask yourself, are we truly telling ourselves the truth in this country? Then from Otukpo to Katsina Allah, from Odukpani to Katsina Allah through Ikom, you look at those places and you wonder, what exactly is this government doing? Are we really interested in the welfare of this country?
Right, thank you. Bayo is here. 2 more calls and then we get this conversation started. Bayo, good morning.
Hi, Wemimo, good morning.
Morning, Bayo.
Great, I got you today. I've been calling since, but it's good anyway.
I'm glad you were able to make it through today.
And good morning to Quadry in the studio as well.
Good morning, my brother.
I'm actually in transit.
Okay.
And I just need to point this out. I want to concentrate on road and electricity. The road I applied for about 2 years now is this Lagos Abeokuta Ota road. And this road, at the point in time, it was terrible. And I can tell you what was done was just bit patched. I was expecting that when the Lagos-Ibadan Express Road project started and there was a sign that diversion of traffic should come through this area, this road should have been fixed. But it was not. And up till now, it's just because there is no rain. That is why you can say, oh, you can still pass. It is terrible. And that's for road on this part. Right. That's not denying the fact that the government is doing some work. You can't rule that out. The government is trying. But I think we should put some better planning, especially into those work that we are doing. So we don't just create unnecessary hardship for users of the road. On electricity. On electricity. I don't understand. It's not this government problem alone. It's been successive government. But the government of change, I have expected that certain decisions should have been taken, especially in the transmission line. Because I was listening to something, I think this week or so, that Nigeria currently generates about 7,000 megawatts and we can only distribute only 3,000 out of that. We have the capacity to generate 11,000, but even if we do generate, we cannot transmit. Why do we keep investing in generation and we are not investing in transmission?
Bayo, thank you very much. Those answers will be tackled. Let's speak finally right now with Adeyinka. Don't worry, we'll come back to your calls. Adeyinka is also in transit. Good morning, Adeyinka.
Hello.
Adeyinka, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Welcome to the show.
Yes, your topic is very interesting. And I would have loved the situation. Where is Rotimi Sankore?
Rotimi Sankore isn't in on Tuesdays. He's usually here Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
You can't.
You said
Yes, you cannot. You can't finish this thing without the contribution of Rotimi Sankore.
Okay.
Honestly. Because there are so many deficits in almost all the aspects of our economy. The aviation, education, road network, so many. And Rotimi has said a lot about this in his developmental program. And I think he should have been a participant in this discussion.
Okay. Thank you, Adeyinka, for calling. Let's get it started. Adewuni Ngalale again is a senior special assistant to the president on public affairs, and he's joining me live right now. Adewuni, we started by taking a feeler.
That's right.
From people, and most of those complaints were about roads.
Yeah.
I noted some of them. The Ibadan-Akure Abuja Road is one of those. The Lagos-Otabeokuta Road. Enugu-Onisha, that's always featuring in conversations. Otukpo Katsina Ala Ikom Road.
Right.
Then someone also, let's talk about these before we go to the Northwest.
Yeah, I mean, so first of all, let me start. So many things were said, as you mentioned. Let me just start by saying that you can feel the pulse of our people. You feel the pulse of the country. You understand that there's a lot of frustration. because obviously when you're dealing with decades worth of rot, you're tackling as much as you can, but you also recognize that you're not going to be able to hit every corner and fix every problem within a very short period of time. And that's a very frustrating answer to give somebody, but that's just the truth. So look, I'm going to be very pragmatic today. We're going to be very direct today. And I'm going to answer as many questions as I possibly can. So now, with that said, in terms of the Onitsha-Enugu Expressway, my brother mentioned, I think he referred to some of the sections that have not yet been completed, because it's been very, very evident. Even if you look at the Twitter handle of Federal Ministry of Works and Housing, I would direct my brother who discussed that road to look at the Amansia-Enugu State Border section of the Onitsha-Enugu Expressway. You'd find that there is massive work going on there as we speak. I'm not saying what we will do. I'm saying what is going on right now, and it can be verified. And I ask our people as we go through this entire conversation that anything I say should be verified. Just Google it. You'll be able to see whatever evidence is there of what it is that I'm saying. And if I do not know something, I will be honest with you and tell you I do not know. I'm not going to be telling you lies this time or any other time. In terms of, I think, what was the other road you mentioned? Yes, Lagos-Abeokuta. This is a very troublesome road. It's been in a very bad condition. And I note my brother's concerns. I'm actually going to take that and write that down and take that back to Abuja with me and actually mention that directly to the minister himself about the diversion into that road at a time when that road is not in a good condition. But I will say this, in terms of budgeting, what I do know about that road is that the minister has come out very openly and he has said that we have to move beyond this approach that several previous governments have taken, which is basically to say that we're going to put so many different roads in our budget, right? Then you now release, say, 5% of the money for that road, right? Now, once you release that money, obviously you have the corrupt tendencies that get involved. Now, even if the corrupt tendencies were not involved and you fully applied that money, they stretch the little bit of money that's there for the works budget across so many different roads that it would take you 25 years to finish any of the roads. So you're basically perpetually doing inches and inches of all these roads, but you're never finishing anything. This administration took a different approach. What we have said is that it's important for us to identify in every zone, in every geopolitical zone, let us identify the most economically strategic roads in those zones. And let us make sure that we heavily channel resources to the completion of those roads in the fastest time possible, so that once we're done with those strategic arteries, we can now focus in on the other road projects that are of secondary interest, because the reality is there simply is not enough money to address every road in this country. That is the hard truth that we just have to understand as a country.
Well, talking about the money.
Absolutely. Yes.
In the 2020 budget, Nigeria budgeted 300 billion naira.
That's right.
For roads.
That's the budgeted money. Yes.
Right. That's the budgeted.
Right.
That's not even the money that will be released.
Yes. Well, no. Well,
overall,
that's
at the
even
end of the day.
Well, no. I wasn't referring to the difference that between what is budgeted and the cash release. I was referring to the difference between what is in the budget and what is the road expenditures that are coming from outside of the budget. So, for example, the Presidential Infrastructure Development Fund has a few major projects across each zone, right? So, for example, in the west, it's the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, obviously a major road that is not in the Federal Ministry of Works budget. It's part of the PIDF, which is operated through the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority, NSIA, and basically that mechanism that President Muhammadu Buhari created with the PIDF enables the federal government to pay contractors directly without going through all of the bureaucratic process in the National Assembly committees and in the MDAs and all of that, where you have a lot of diversion and shakedowns and all of that historically. So we've avoided all of that, and that is why you see the kind of progress on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. In the north is the Abuja-Kaduna-Kano Expressway that's under the PIDF. It's not in the Federal Ministry of Works budget. In the east, it's the Second Niger Bridge, 206 billion naira. That's under the PIDF, not in the Ministry of Works budget, and all of that. So these are the projects under the PIDF. But in terms of the budgeted road projects, which is most of them in the country. This is what I'm referring to.
Okay, let me take you up on the PIDF since
Yes,
we're
please.
there now.
Yeah, sure,
so you've
sure.
mentioned some of these roads. In the
Right.
southwest, you have the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway.
Right.
And I'm here
Uh-huh.
wondering, as I'm sure many other Nigerians
Right.
will be wondering,
Yeah.
what's up with the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway? Is it ever going to be finished?
No, it's a fair question, obviously, because you're talking about something that's been on ground now for decades, and it just hasn't been really completed, right? But we're very clear about this. We have. It's not just us, by the way. It's not just the Ministry of Works or the federal government. Even Julius Berger. Well, I think RCC is doing one section as well. Between two of them, they have come out themselves to actually tell Nigerians directly that money is not a problem, unlike the past. That's why it's very important.
Money is not a problem?
Money is not the problem
So
for this
what
project.
is the problem?
No, what has been... No, this is what we're saying. There was a problem. There is not a problem now in terms of execution of that project. Before, the problem was that there was no such thing as PIDF, and that these projects were basically being done under the budgeting process of old, which is you go through the Senate and House of Reps committees on works. They basically are there with the officials trying to see whatever it is they can get inside each of the matters. Then within the MDAs, the minister is then deciding who's going to get which contract, how it's going to be shared, and all of that.
On base of priority.
Exactly. Now, so all of that was the case then. Now, you also had litigation on that road. You recall this concession with Courtney and all of that. That's all been resolved. But now we're paying the contractor directly. It's not going through that process. So they will tell you themselves that there's no issue with the money. So therefore, when they tell Nigerians, I'm talking about the contractors now, when they tell Nigerians this road will be completed by early 2022, first quarter of 2022, well before the end of this administration expires, then I think Nigerians can have confidence that there's nothing in the way, unlike before when there were a lot of
Is there
obstacles.
a timeline for completion of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway right now?
Yeah, I've just said it. First quarter 2022. Hold us to that word.
First quarter ends March.
That's March 2022.
By the
That's
end
right.
of next month. Guys, I'm noting down.
No,
down.
2022, not 2020.
2022.
Yes.
Okay, I was being too optimistic.
Oh, no. March 2022. There's a lot of work to go on. There's a lot of work going on. There.
Obviously
we're even adding, we're not just using the initial design, by the way. We've not only expanding the road, we're also adding 4 flyovers across the road. So there's a lot of work going on there.
2022. Let's talk about the Abuja Kaduna Kano Road. It also came up in the
I heard my brother. Yes.
And you also mentioned this is now under the PIDF.
That's under the PIDF. Funds are going directly to the contractor. There is absolutely no excuse whatsoever for that road not to be completed on time. And that one, I believe, is first quarter 2023, before the election.
Just before the election.
Yes. Okay. And by the way, under the PIDF, I want to mention this for our people to know. These are guaranteed timelines. These are not political timelines where we're campaigning and we say, people, we got to finish this road on time. Or it's not that kind of thing.
Ajuri is making us a promise on the show. This is not just talk. It says it's going to be done.
It's not an electioneering promise. What this is the contractors have a plan, right? They have a plan that's dependent on the timely release of money, and that's it. That's government's part in the whole thing.
Once money is released,
once money is there,
time,
the contractors know that we can finish by this day at this year in this year, and they have all that. They have all that information. What has just happened in the past is that government has either diverted some of the resources meant for the contractors, or they simply decided not to release cash from the Ministry of Finance.
So that's sorted. Second Niger Bridge. I saw a tweet. Someone asking, what's the state of the second Niger Bridge? And people shared photos.
Absolutely.
Saying, okay, work is ongoing there, but the pace is quite slow.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I think some of these issues are relative, right? Some people feel like a bridge should just come up in a year and it should just be done. Unfortunately, infrastructural construction at that level, at that magnitude, doesn't work like that. I would refer Lagosians, for example, to the Third Mainland Bridge. Mm-hmm. It has lasted for decades, even through regimes who did not do a good job of maintaining it. It still held sturdy. Why? Because it was well constructed under General Babangida, and it took several years to construct that bridge. Obviously, it's a different size from the Second Niger Bridge, but the point is that if you're going to build a world-class road that's going to last for decades and not just a year or two, you have to do it right, and you have to take your time and fund it properly. In terms of the Second Niger Bridge, these are the specs. 206 billion naira in dollars. That's approximately, give or take, $575 million. It's the most expensive non-rail bridge project in the country. Where we are with that is we have finished putting in all of the pillars. Obviously, people have seen all the 26-story pillars. You see the workers next to a pillar, and you realize that the human being looks like an ant next to the pillar. It's a massive mega project. Then now, as of November last year, we began the decking phase. That's going to last until August this year. Already, we've just posted pictures last week on the Ministry of Works and Housing Twitter account. Please take a look at that. For the first time, we have begun laying the actual bridge on top of the pillars. For the first time. So you're actually now seeing the extension across the top of the pillars, the cement being laid across the top of the pillars. So we're making fantastic progress on that project. The completion date, the official completion date by Julius Berger, and they have said they're ahead of schedule, by the way, is February 28th, 2022. February 2022. So we believe that based on the pace of work, because they're saying they're ahead of schedule now, that they're going to be able to finish by the final quarter of even 2021. We're hoping for a December 2021 finish. The last thing I would say about the Second Niger Bridge is because the president is personally interested in all of the PIDF projects, he has instructed the chief of staff to the president to send weekly, not monthly, weekly reports to every governor in the Southeast geopolitical zone, telling them on a week-by-week basis what has been done by Julius Berger that week on the Second Niger Bridge.
Is this report being given every week?
Every single week to every governor in the Southeast. That's correct.
All right, we're going for a break.
They themselves acknowledge that as well.
Right, we're going for a break very soon, but I'd like to take your thoughts on the conversation so far. We've talked about the projects under the PIDF, including the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, the Kano-Kaduna Abuja Road, and also the second Niger Bridge. You've heard Adewuni Ngalale. He's given us the dates when these projects will be ending. Funding is no longer a problem.
Well before the end of the administration. That means if we get to the next election and these projects are not done, you should call me back and tell me that we have failed. That's what it means.
I'd like to take you on that. Here are the numbers. Call us now.
Call us on 01-277-0993, 01-277-1993, 01-277-2993, and 01-277-3993. This is Nigeria Info. We are listening.
Yes, we are listening. Our jury says if these deadlines are not met before the elections, before the dates given, call us and say that the presidency, this administration has failed.
And by the way, in the election, I think anybody who says they're going to do something and they don't do it, they should pay a price at the election. That's how important.
What price do you think they should pay at the election?
Oh well, of course. If somebody's not getting the job done, you're going to be looking at the alternative.
Which would be
whoever is the alternative that Nigerians choose.
So if one administration fails, if this administration fails, don't vote them back in.
That's the right of every Nigerian, absolutely.
Ola Labour is at VGC. Good morning.
That's how serious we are about this.
Morning, Ola Labour.
Yeah.
Yeah, good morning to you.
Good morning.
It's good to hear what you're saying, your guest in the studio.
Right.
But for me, I sit down and think about Nigeria the nation. The funding of the project, whether it's the road from Abuja to the Kaduna-Kano, Lagos-Ibadan Express Road, the bridge at Onitsha, it's being funded by oil money. And then the East-West Road, nothing is being done about that road. What's the basis for that? You're going that road. And what's the government plan to fix that road? Yep. Because that road has been done for many years. And you're spending oil money for other part of the region.
Genuine concern from someone who is very likely from an oil-producing
yes,
state.
exactly. Let me please respond to him. First of all, thank you, my brother, for your contribution. I am from Rivers State. I understand the idea of what you're discussing, but I don't agree that the approach that we should begin to look at, the lens through which we should begin to look at issues is a regional lens. I think we're all Nigerians. All of us travel to Lagos, Kano, Abuja, Port Harcourt. It's all our country, right? So we should support ourselves. I think if we're being sincere, we'll also understand that there was a time when we were an agricultural powerhouse and most of those products were coming from the north and all of that, and we were still able to fund projects around the country. So
it doesn't
what I'm saying is it doesn't matter where the money's coming from. The point is work should be done everywhere. And I want to answer specifically the question he asked, which is about the East-West Road. It is under the $22.7 billion Economic Stimulus Infrastructure Fund before the National Assembly right now that's about to be passed, that we have inside two mega projects in the South. One is the $800 million facility exclusively for the East-West Road. That will commence construction hopefully before the end of this year. The second mega project within that program is a $3.4 billion railway. The Coastal Railway, everybody has heard about that, Lagos to Calabar. That's a $12 billion rail line. But because we don't have the resources necessary to do the whole $12 billion rail line, we've prioritized a particular section that's $3.4 billion. It runs from Calabar into Aba because the president recognizes that Aba is going to be the manufacturing hub for the future of this country, and he's determined to unlock it. That's why we put 24 hours power supply in Ariaria market, and we're continuing to invest there. It's going to be a Nyima economic city shortly. Now, the final point I want to make about this
I'll need you to make the responses short because we have people on the line.
Okay, sure. From Calabar to Aba, from Aba, that high-speed rail line will move into Port Harcourt City Centre. From Port Harcourt City Centre, that rail line will now go and terminate at the One Deep Sea Port. The reason why that's important is because the president is determined to diversify port infrastructure away from Apapa so that we can decongest and ensure that businessmen in the southeast and south-south don't have to be burdened with this high cost of logistics moving all of their goods to and from the west. Now they can have port infrastructure in that zone.
All right, Sheyi is on the line from Ikeja. Thanks for holding the line, Sheyi.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Wemimo, thank God you brought Adewuni this morning. I want to appreciate everything he has been saying.
Mm-hmm.
I think what the government is doing is very important and is very good. I apply a lot of roads and I've seen a lot of massive work that are going on. Even right from February this year, I've seen some train coming in through every time I'm coming to work. So the other thing is that the government should just speed up all these their contractor so that the work can be done on time.
Right.
And the diversion point, there should not be too much hold up on the road so that people will not be complaining about being staying too long on the road.
Right.
I
Thank
think
you.
the government is doing very well.
Thank you, Sheyi. That is noted. We're heading up for a break now. I see you all waiting on the line, but please bear with me. I need to head up for this break. We're talking about closing the infrastructural deficits in Nigeria and the work the government is doing in this regard. Adewuni Ngalale is here with me in the studio to answer those questions regarding infrastructure. He's a senior special assistant to the president on public affairs, and he's giving you the numbers, the dates, the figures, the location of where these projects are happening. You can argue them out if you think it's otherwise. That's why you have the phone numbers. And we're also live on Facebook, YouTube, Nigeria Info 99.3. We're back in a moment. Don't go away.
news and sports station. This is the Morning Crossfire with Wemimo and Sheriff.
We are back. The phone lines did not rest a bit. I saw you all trying to get through to call on the show today. We're having a conversation on closing the infrastructural gap across Nigeria. And during Galale is here with me in the studio, he's mentioned some of the work being done by the government, especially under the PIDF. And the deadline for those jobs, he's also mentioned those contractors might beat those deadlines. That will be fantastic. And he said also, if the government does not deliver on this, you have an option not to vote them back in.
That's
Says
right.
every government, I'm quoting you,
Absolutely.
every government that does not deliver should pay a price
Absolutely.
for it at the
Absolutely.
elections.
Yes.
Let's get back to the phone. Let's see who's here. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, Sylvester on the line from Aja.
Eze, welcome to the show.
All right, what is following up your program, and your guest is a wonderful day. I actually want to talk about the railway system. Sylvester calling, right?
Okay.
I actually want to talk about the railway system that he talked about. He said the government is, working on a railway system from Aba to Port to Calabar and to Port, and it will be terminated there. I want to know is there any if they are going to move it from Port Harcourt to Delta and to terminate in Lagos. So that's what I want to know, if there's a plan for that.
Yeah, the rail.
Yeah, absolutely. The coastal, yes, my brother, it's a legitimate concern. The $12 billion coastal rail line absolutely is going to be completed. We're just being very pragmatic about the fact that we have limited resources and we had to choose one segment to start with. So let us choose the one where you have an existing deep sea port, where you can link up with a very important manufacturing hub like the one in in Aba. Then you have obviously free trade zone in Calabar and all of that. Once we link that up, definitely, it's just like Lagos Ibadan, right? We started with the Lagos Ibadan segment of the Lagos to Kano rail line. Now that Lagos Ibadan is nearing completion, we're now beginning the process of the Ibadan to Kano leg. In fact, I would even like to give more details on that right now, if I can.
Okay. Yeah, let's go to take some comments from Twitter. T-Don, that's Adisha Feshe on Twitter, says, please help me ask your guest, what about the Ado-Akure road? This road has been in a bad state for over 5 years, and we keep on hearing it will be done during the dry season, but nothing has yet been done. Another one from Ike Mama, who says, I heard your guest say aggressive work is ongoing at on Amenisia section.
Yeah, Amansia, Enugu State border. That's right. Yeah.
It says, look at this quoted tweet. It's sharing a tweet from 2019. It says that before. It says the only thing that happened here was before Christmas, and it shared photos. I'll let you see.
That's.
I'll let you see.
Yeah, I would.
While I go back to the phones. Good morning.
Let me answer.
Hold on. Okay.
Let me answer him. I think my brother should, if he has a moment, please, you could just take a quick tour of the Ministry of Works Twitter to see an update, because I can tell you, verify.
These pictures are from the pictures is shown.
Right, no, but those are old ones, though.
Federal Ministry.
Right, I know, but they're old.
These are 2016.
So what I want to tell my brother is that the Honorable Minister himself, His Excellency Babatunde Fashola, personally went to the Amansia section of the Enugu Onitsha
in 2018.
No, not in 2018. He went there. I'm talking this year. It was in 2020.
He's been there this year.
Absolutely. Go and verify it on Google. You will see the pictures. It was on the news. It was everywhere. He had a media tour across the southeast where he went to the Second Niger Bridge, went to the federal housing programs in Oka and some other places. He also went to Onitsha Enugu Expressway, particularly to the Amansia section. So
it's aggressive work.
It's a very aggressive one.
Now.
Absolutely.
All right. I'd like you to confirm that he's claiming that this was before the election, before December, Christmas.
Right.
So let's find out if anything is going on there this year.
Yes.
All right, back to the phone. Good morning.
Hello, good morning, Wemimo.
Good morning.
And good morning to the guest there.
Good morning, my brother.
Yeah. My name is Adewuni. I'm actually within the Ajabara State.
Welcome to the show.
There's something I want to ask. I don't know how much you know about Lagos Road. This road from Isolo, let me say from Mushin through Yanosolo to Ikotun. Is the road federal road or state road? Because I heard some people say something about it sometimes ago that the road belongs to federal.
Yes, if you can name the road again.
Mushin to Solo.
Yeah, from the Solo to pass through Ejigbo to Ikotun. And so the reason I'm saying is that because I have seen Nigeria government or the way Nigeria is being structured, it's too complex. I don't know if at all if the roads actually belong to federal government and some other roads like that in Nigeria. I don't see any reason why.
Oh, I'm sorry, we lost you, but I get your point here. It's saying there's some problems because within some states, some roads within the states are federal roads. We've had governors had a face-off with the minister on, we fixed roads within our state, but they are federal roads. We want the refund. Why can't we clarify this?
Yeah, well,
is it so hard to clarify?
No, not really. Basically, there are different circumstances, right? So some of the circumstances are such that the governor says, this road is important it's a federal road inside of my state, but it's very, very strategic. He will now fix the road, not because he hadn't made a request, or not that he sent a request to federal government that, look, I want to fix this road, therefore please give me a refund. But he went ahead to fix the road because he thinks it's very, very important.
And maybe it is very important.
No, right, absolutely. I'm not, absolutely. So he fixes the road, then he now says to federal government, I have fixed the road, come and verify it, I want my refund, right? So what the president has said, I think it was last year, he told all the state governors that, look, from now on the process must be done in a certain manner, which means that if you want to do a federal road in your state, right, unless you're asking us to hand over, if you want us to hand over, we can hand over, no problem. We're not.
Are the state governors asking for a handover?
No, some have. Some have actually asked for a full handover of the federal road to the states, right? And the president is not at all against that.
How many are there such roads that have been handed over from federal to the state?
No.
Why not? If they've made requests, why not?
Well, there are probably.
I mean, it lessens the burden on the federal government.
There are a few elements here, right? We can't take a broad brush and to discuss this because each situation is different. Each state has different capacity to do different things, right?
So you basically said the federal government assesses on the capacity of the state to be able to handle those roads, but the state is saying we are able to take care of these roads and fix them ourselves. Why not let them do it?
I actually didn't get to land the point I was making. The point I was making was the issue that the president is saying, if you want a refund for a federal road that you're working on in your state, ask for that process to start, right? So that we know what it is you're doing, and then we can tell you whether or not we're willing to.
Yeah, I get you on that. I'm saying that if these states are then requiring that they want a full ownership of those roads, they want to own it, fix it, be responsible for it. Why is the federal government not letting them have it?
No, but that's not true. Even in Lagos, for example, there were several roads where the former Governor Ambode asked the federal government for a handover. Not just roads, by the way, even properties and all of that. Some of these national treasures, if you will, assets. Yes, the federal government handed them over.
Okay, so let me be nice. Adeyemi has been on the line for so long.
All right,
let's not keep him too long. Adeyemi, thank you for holding the line. Adeyemi, are you there? So this pains me a lot. Why you've been on the line for almost 5 minutes and then I can't hear you.
Yeah,
Adeyemi, are you there? Oh dear, I'm so sorry.
Hopefully they'll call back.
I hope so. Okay, let's go to Facebook. Let's take this round. Oh my goodness, where do I even start from? Okay.
There are so many things that I want to inform our people about. So I don't know.
Yeah, we'll get around. You definitely know we can't talk about everything.
Right.
So we'll try to address
the key things.
Yeah, but we need to get the people's comments in.
Of course.
Someone is asking about Empower. Why is Empower not paying us at when due? Okay, there's an argument going on here all over Facebook. I don't even know where to jump in. You might want to go there to see this conversation. Let me leave you guys to sort it out. If you have questions, you can send them in right there. On Twitter, Sami Utsu says, good morning, Wemimo. I believe infrastructure is more than good roads. Please let Mr. Jury let us know what government project. We're coming to that.
That's what I want to do.
We're moving to education just now. Once I take the next call, we're moving to education. We're also going to talk about electricity. The show runs on 9:30, so don't worry. Oga Makaka says, good morning, Wemimo and our guests. Please enlighten us on Abacha loot. Oh, Abacha loot. Join the show on Thursday morning, okay? We're having a full conversation on the Abacha loot. He's saying, talk to us about the Abacha loot and the condition the U.S. has given us about the 3 particular projects that the federal government promised to fund those
I'll be
projects.
happy to.
But let me speak to Ikechukwu, who's on the line. Then we come back to this question. Ikechukwu, morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, I was one to send it to it on its Enugu Expressway.
Okay.
Section. If you look at that picture, one of the picture was from 2016.
Yes, the other from 2018.
The other one from 2018. Another one from 2019, from the same section. So the first question is, how long is this amenity section? And why do we keep having pictures from that section every year since 2016? And it is always between November and December. If you go there now, I challenge your guest. If you go there now, no work is ongoing. I think we all have.
So you're saying that the same pictures, he's talking about the same Enugu Onitsha Road. He said the same photo, it looks like the same photo from 2016, 2018. Nothing looks different.
That is the point. In 2016, Fachala was there. He didn't just go there in 2019. He was there in 2016. He made promises. I mean, when I was getting fired, these are projects. When it is there, you feel it. It's not about talking about it. You feel the project. I mean, it's good to speak well. I respect him for that.
It's not about speaking well. It's not about speaking well. All right.
I'm from Enugu State, and the only road we use now since around 2012 is the road that the governor of Enugu State and the governor of Anambra State constructed parallel to the expressway.
All right, Ikechukwu, I get your point.
Yeah.
I get your point. I've noted that. I'll answer that. Let me also speak with Sam. We'll take these questions together. Sam, good morning.
Good morning, my sister. How are you doing today?
Very well, thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Angilari, I greet you, my brother.
I greet you too, bro.
Yeah, well done. Let me go straight to my point. This toll gate, when you are going along Songo, we have accidents happening because I live around that toll gate. My house is just close by. So we have accidents all the time. The people die all the time. It's always in the news. Even last week, we have about 9 people that died. I just want to know, there's a rumor that they were going to construct bridge, or they were going to maybe toll gate was going to be constructed or something. But we don't know. We need to know, because people, we have people keep dying there all the time, and it seems government have no plan for us around here. So that's I've been trying to reach you all this while.
I'm glad you're able to make it in. Thank you very much. That's the Lagos Abeokuta road, and he's asking, people are dying on that road. That's federal, right?
Absolutely.
Are there plans to construct bridges, pedestrian bridges and all?
Yeah, so for the Lagos Abeokuta Expressway, it's captured in the 2020 budget, but it's not a substantial sum of money. It's not for 50% of the road or anything like that. So basically, the minister's been very clear that he's very much aware of the bad state of that road. But for us, we have to. I'm sorry, what is that?
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
I was looking around.
Okay.
Please don't call the WhatsApp number.
Oh, okay.
I was really wondering
what that was in my ear.
I was shocked. Sorry about that,
that's
people.
all right. Okay, so basically, this is where we are. We need to finish the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. We need to dedicate the funds to that expressway. Once that is done, obviously the Lagos-Abeokuta Expressway is the next point of major concern in that axis. For us, the president did something that really has never been done. In the last year, when he laid the 2020 budget, he said it openly to Nigerians that from now on, and this isn't just for roads, or this is across all sectors, all MDAs. He said no MDA anymore can put in any new project in any future budget, current or future budget over the next 4 years, that is not fully funded to completion. That means if it's in the budget this year, it must have a plan for the next 3 or 4 years to reach completion by the end of this administration. That is what he said.
So don't bring in new projects that will not be finished.
That's right. So we're dedicating all of our resources right now to the projects that we know we are going to finish before the end of this administration. That is the basis for my confidence when I say that by this date we are going to finish. It's because I understand the process.
Right. Emmanuel is in Ogba. Good morning, Emmanuel.
Hello, good morning.
Morning to you.
Yeah. please, I want to contribute to this topic.
Yes, please go ahead. We'd like to hear from you.
I have a very simple question for Quadry.
Yes, please.
Now, as good as the boss and the ideas of infrastructural development that the government is, carrying on, fine. Is there no legal framework as regards the time frame for every project that is being executed in the country? Because my concern is that you see a project which the government said they have to start maybe in 2020, and they said the project is expected to be completed maybe in about 2 years or 1 year. And you find out that project is after 3 years or 4 years, that project is still ongoing.
Oh, okay, which projects, my brother?
Amount that is budgeted for such project that at the end of the day that the contractor still use to complete the project, or they go back after each year to renegotiate and pay extra. That is my question this morning. Thank you.
All
Okay,
right, that was,
I get you. I'll rephrase what I believe he means.
Okay.
Chinaza is here from Amuwodofe. Chinaza, morning.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Yes, I want to talk about the second Niger Bridge.
Yeah.
There was a time on the social media I saw things flying about saying that the bridge is not high, that it is low.
Yes, I've heard this
such
one.
that it cannot pass, it will not allow small vessels to pass underneath.
Right.
I do not know how true that is.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Because if that is true, it would have jeopardized the ability to
Is that
utilize
true?
the Niger.
Okay, all right, thank you very much.
Apart from that, one more thing.
Okay.
We've been talking about roads. Now, how about power? That is a major problem in Nigeria.
I'm looking forward to getting into that.
We're coming to that right after your call.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So is it true?
Thank you. So this concern has been a major one. First of all, of course, it's not true. Anybody who knows what the specifications are of that bridge would know that I have not seen a 26-story ship. I don't know if you have, Wemimo. I have not seen it. So, and we have even accounted for the rise in waters according to seasons. We've accounted for all of that. So it is.
So with the rise in water, it still gives room for 26 stories.
No, I'm saying right now it is. 26 stories is absolutely. I mean, it's just
26 story. I mean,
it's unbelievable. It's very, very.
Nothing is impossible, but it's a bit.
There's no vessel that's going to be coming through any part of the Gulf of Guinea or anywhere like that is anything close to what would not be able to pass under the second Niger Bridge.
All right, let me try to rephrase what the caller before they said.
Yes.
I think he was saying that some of these projects have deadlines, say 3 years, but the second year you go visit, it looks like it's just about 20% complete, and the contractors are asking for a rigor negotiation. Say, okay, now we can't meet up with these costs, materials, and expensive.
Right. Okay, so now. Now, this is why it's extremely important. This is why I like to deal with very precise and specific and issues that we can verify, right? If we're speaking in general terms, I know that there have been a series of roads, right, that were maybe started in 2010, 2011, or 2012, or whatever the case may be, and maybe 5% of the work was done, or 15% of the work was done, or even maybe 25% of the work was done, or whatever. And then, because it was abandoned, say, from that 2013 to about 2016, the contractor now comes back and says, we want to review the terms of the contract, the currency value has changed, X, Y, and Z. That has happened severally across several roads, but on none of such roads has this administration ever come out and said, by 2021 or 2020, we're going to complete this road. Because every deadline we are giving is based on a funding plan that is guaranteed. There's no chance of any type of diversion or misappropriation.
So for these contractors, and there are some abandoned projects across the country. You've talked about
and there are so many.
There are so many. If I give you the numbers, I have them there. I'll do that after the break. Absolutely. So for these contractors who resign on their agreements, who don't stick to the terms of the agreement, there's a report that was done recently by the Paradigm Leadership Support Initiative. It presented an annual audit and reported that 19 federal government projects monitored in 12 states. Of those 19, 15 were abandoned or unexecuted. The projects were awarded in 2016, abandoned, and it all amounts to about 13.5 billion naira. Contractors were unable. I'll give you a list.
Okay, go
Contractors
through it.
were unable to give account of 2.97 billion naira explaining of those projects. Some of these projects, you have a phase 2 of the construction of a mini water scheme and a small earth dam.
Oh, I see. Okay,
Rehabilitation.
this isn't just roads now.
Yeah,
These are
not
cross-sectors.
roads.
Okay.
Rehabilitation of 2 township water supply schemes, as well as improvement of Olode water supply scheme, all in Ogun State, and all projects under the Lower Niger River Basin Development Authority. You also have the 24-kilometer Akungba Ikare Omo Kaba Highway in Ondo and Ekiti State, and the proposed perimeter fencing of Weru Bridge and Okene Water Works in Kogi State. All of these. So we have contractors that jump. I mean, that don't do what they're supposed to do.
Absolutely.
What's the government doing about these people? Do we just let them off the hook?
Well, absolutely not. I mean, clearly, we've had instances where contractors have come that we've actually had to call back. NDDC is a perfect example of that, where you had contractors basically run with the money. Then when we started this our audit over the course of the last few months, those contractors, we didn't even need to chase them. They chased us. They came back to NDDC begging, saying, "Okay, please, we know what happened. Please, we'll go back to site." They immediately mobilized and all of that. These things are happening. People know that this administration is serious about fighting corruption and also about ensuring that our money is actually used for the purpose that it's supposed to be used for. I will just say this very quickly. It's very interesting. Before the last election, what was the thing that we heard a lot? We heard, ask President Muhammadu Buhari in the last 4 years, 2015 to 2019, which project he started and completed, right? People were calling the president foolish for continuing abandoned projects from previous administrations. They said, what is that? These are projects
because we have an attitude of each administration starting its own
exactly.
So they can say started by.
I know, but that's the problem.
But that's not
that
good
attitude
for
is not good.
For the
that
nation.
Attitude is bad.
Adewuni, let me hold you a minute. It's another half hour. We're coming up to the 9 o'clock hour. We have the news coming up after this break. When we return, we're talking electricity. We've had enough time talking about road. We can't exhaust all the road projects in the country. But let's talk about electricity when we return from this break. It's a Morning Crossfire. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, Nigeria Info 99.3, and we're also there on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM. You can also join us on WhatsApp 08095. I'm coming there. I see your messages 08095975805. All after the break. I'm Wemimo Adewuni.
#1 talk, news, and sports station. This is the Morning Crossfire with Wemimo and Sheriff.
We're back. It's 99.3 Nigeria Info. We're asking questions about closing the infrastructural gap across Nigeria and what the Buhari administration is doing. I have here with me in the studio Adewuni Galale, who is a presidential spokesperson on public affairs, giving answers as to the projects that this administration is doing, completing across the country. And I've allowed you to also engage with him with questions and evidence. I mean, I like a factual, debate. And that's what we're having on the show today. We're live on Facebook and YouTube, Nigeria Info 99.3. We're also on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM. I'm coming to read your messages on WhatsApp right now. It's 08095 975805. Coming in from the headline news, I must say, just, diverting a bit. I'm surprised by this comment from the Lagos State Governor blaming the protesters. If you've been following that story for the clash, I mean, I don't know how insensitive this can be, but just saying, we'll come have a full conversation on that later on. Adewuni, welcome back.
Thank you so much, Wemimo. Just very quickly, I know we're about to go into power. I just wanted to say very quickly that there's very important project that's going to be important to the future of our economy. The 120 billion naira Boni Bodo Road is being counterpart funded between the federal government of Nigeria and the NLNG. 60 billion. Now, that project is critical because for the first time in our nation's history, it's going to link all of our gas production facilities, NLNG facilities on Boni Island to the mainland with it includes a bridge that crosses the Opobo Channel. We're very excited about that project because it's going to absolutely change the landscape of what we're able to do in terms of gas mobilization to industries across the country. That is also under a financing scheme that is guaranteed to ensure that it's going to be completed by 2022 by Julius Berger. So that's something we're really excited about.
We can hold our breath on that one.
Absolutely.
All right, let me run you through some abandoned projects, unfinished projects across the country. We have the monorail project initiated by the immediate past administration in Rivers State, designed to ease the problem of transportation in the state. It was meant to cover 12 kilometers at the cost of 50 billion naira. It was abandoned at 2.6 kilometers. The Mina Airport City in Niger State, reportedly awarded at the cost of $600 million. We don't have anything on that. There's a Mina five-star hotel. State projects, 19.6 billion naira. Abia International Hotel still needs about 6 billion naira to complete. Just Main Market requires 5 billion naira for rebuilding now. The point I'm coming to, the Ajaokuta Steel project.
Oh yes, very important.
This is dear to the heart of many Nigerians.
It is.
This is one big infrastructure that's been gone to waste for too long.
Absolutely.
But to revive the Ajaokuta project, there was an agreement, a meeting between the president and Russian President Vladimir Putin in Russia last year.
Yes.
And according to Olamileko
Adebite,
the country's Minister of Steel and Mines and Steel Development. Sections of the factory ought to have been into production before the end of 2019. How far with that?
Yeah, thank you very much. This. I'm so glad you brought this up because it links to something even more important. We have now been able to secure through the Russian MOU 2 major facilities. One is a $1 billion facility for the total renovation, reconstruction, really, in many areas of the Ajaokuta Steel Complex. Not just the plant, the entire complex. That's all of the transportation, logistics within the complex and all of that included. We also have a $400 million facility from Afrexim Bank that is going to be for that Ajaokuta Steel Complex revival. So together it's $1.4 billion. We're very excited about that. Now, the reason why that's very crucial and why I'm happy you brought it up is because it brings me to a very critical $3.1 billion deal we just signed with CCECC. These are things that unfortunately go underreported. But what happened is that
the government is not talking about
but my sister,
enough.
They always say we're not talking enough. We're on every single platform we can, but ultimately, if media is only talking about insecurity and herdsmen every morning, it's very difficult.
Those are also important.
No, they are very important, but we need to be able to balance development.
We need those lives to be
no, absolutely. Nobody's diminishing the importance of security issues. That is, it's forefront, right? But what we're also saying is let's try and balance it with other issues because there's so much going on in a nation. Every country does that. They talk security, but they also talk development. Now, the reason why the Ajaokuta is particularly important is the $3.1 billion deal we just signed with CCEC involves the construction of a brand new $800 million US seaport in Wari, a brand new Wari seaport. Now, the other remaining $2.3 billion in the deal is going to be a high-speed rail line that's going to run out of the new Wari seaport into Itakpe, right, where you have the Nigerian iron ore mining company, Niamco. It's where you now source the iron from that you will supply Ajeokuta steel plant, which is why this line I'm talking about, the new high-speed rail line, will run from Wari to Itakpe, from Itakpe to Ajeokuta to take the iron to the steel plant for processing and final completion for the steel. Then from Ajeokuta, it will link up with a spur to Lokoja and Kogi State, the confluent state. Then it will now go up to Abuja. So you're going to have a link that's essentially going to link up Wari to Abuja, Lagos to Abuja, Kano to Abuja. So everything is going to link together, and we're building arteries that are going to ensure that we can facilitate import-export away from Apapa. You're going to have One Deep Sea Port now, you're going to have Wari, and you're going to have Apapa.
So we have all this money
We're
deals
really excited about that.
And it is exciting.
It's signed and it's done, yes.
Is there a start date for these projects and an end date?
Yeah, so now what has to happen on the Wari plan, okay, because there are different portfolios, right? On the One Deep Sea Port 1, that one is at the final stage. It's at National Assembly. Once they approve, money's released and they begin construction. We're hoping that we can begin construction on the Calabar, Aba, Port Harcourt, One Deep Sea Port line before the end of this year. That's the goal. Then the Wari Seaport project has been signed. Now the Chinese investment bank has to release the money. Once they release the money, then we can begin construction.
Sounds really amazing. Let's talk about electricity. The phone lines are buzzing. I know the other half is usually for callers to just make their point, but we need to talk about electricity.
Yes.
There's this conversation ongoing about discos. Threats from the government to say if you don't deliver, we might have to look at striking out the deal or privatizing those companies. I've had Dr. Sam Amadi here, who was the head of NERC.
While he was during the privatization.
And he mentioned then that there was a big problem.
Hope you held his feet to the fire, because he would have saved us a lot of problems if he had done his job well then.
Exactly. So I asked him a lot of questions because he went around saying most of the contracts we signed and most of the people we gave those contracts to could never have delivered. Of course,
so why didn't he make noise then? He didn't say anything then.
You trust I would have taken him up on that. So that means we had a foundational problem. And I asked him, so you were at the head of that.
Exactly. He would have stopped it.
According to him, it was beyond him. It was what the government wanted to do.
But yet he was silent. Even as the regulator, he didn't say a word.
But that does not change the fact that we have a problem.
We are where we are, right?
Now. We are where we are. These discos, like one of the callers did say, so we have a generation problem. We have a bigger transmission problem. And then we have a distribution problem. So my question is the federal government looking at shattering this thing we call the national grid?
Right. Okay, thank you so much for that important question. Okay, let's break this down, right? So from the privatization program, what you essentially had, and I know you've talked about this, but for the sake of clarity, you had some companies come in, right? Some friends of government essentially take very huge, high volume dollar loans from some certain banks to put it in their company coffers to say, this is how much money we have to invest in the asset if you give it to us.
It is what we are worth.
Exactly, it's what we're worth. Then they get the asset from government. They now pay back the loan that they took out, so it's fake money. They're left with the asset and nothing to capitalize or develop the asset.
I'm not sure I should take it up on this, but we had this conversation. If you missed it out on it, just go over to Facebook on our Facebook page and search. I mean, it's all.
I don't want to focus too much on the past, but it's important for us to lay the groundation because you have to understand that in order to understand what we need to do now. So. All of that said, we have a lot of companies that did not have the capacity to fund their assets to be able to make it profitable. Now, where we are is this. They put a death pill, what we call a death pill. This administration, we refer to it as the death pill, in those agreements, right? Essentially, under that administration, the BP put in this death pill provision that basically said, if you want to cancel the licenses of these discos, you have to fork out $8 billion. $8 billion.
For no job done?
Essentially for no job done. Essentially just for taking the asset back. That is the death pill that was put in for us to basically tie the hands of any administration moving forward.
Who put this death pill in it again?
Well, I think it was certainly the administration, but I believe it was BPE. But you can confirm that. I can confirm that and put it on Twitter if you want.
Okay.
So that's the situation, right? So we're hand tied. Now, the issue that we...
And guys, you might wonder why the BPE would do that. Let's talk about that some other day.
Yeah, right.
I mean, they're supposed to be on our side.
Right,
this
right.
is a Bureau of Public
again,
Enterprises.
we're talking cronyism at the highest level, right? We're talking
Uh-huh.
about people that are involved in politics that got these assets. So now, this is the situation we have right now. Is these distribution companies have not had the money to capitalize, to put meters in the homes of our people and make the system work. So what we are doing now, proactively, is we have been very clear with the distribution company owners that they have to work with Siemens. In August 2018, approximately, President Muhammadu Buhari met with German Chancellor Angela Merkel in the Villa. They agreed that the federal government would work with Siemens to essentially revolutionize all aspects of our power system from the top down. Now, in specific terms, what has happened since then is the Siemens company has done for 6 months conducted a forensic technical audit on all the distribution infrastructure in the country in conjunction with the owners of the privatized disco assets. They basically went around the country, saw the infrastructure, found out where we need upgrades, where we need new construction, what needs to be done everywhere, right? Based on that, they developed a roadmap of what needs to be done. Based on the roadmap, they now bring a bill, right, of what's all required and all of that. Now, this is what's important. When I bring this up to Nigerians, naturally Nigerians are skeptical when government talks about power because of the experience in the failed promises. The difference between what's happening now and what happened then is then you basically had billions of dollars sent into a government agency, issued contracts to people that weren't going to do the job, and those that did do the job did it for double the price that they should have done it. Now, what we're doing now is the German Export Credit Agency, which is where the German Chancellor has come in and really helped us, is the German Export Credit Agency is taking 80% of the total Siemens deal, 80% of the funding requirement, and they are paying 80% of the funding requirement directly from the German Export Credit Agency to Siemens. So that money never enters Nigerian bureaucracy. It doesn't go through National Assembly. It doesn't go through any minister. It cannot be diverted. Same with the PIDF. The president
what's a plan to pay them back? Sounds amazing.
Right. I just need to say the final part, which is the 20%. There's a 20% counterpart fund from the Nigerian government. We are paying that directly from the Federation account to Siemens. It's also not going through all of the bureaucratic process. As to payback, very important point. Siemens, we're doing the contract close at the end of March. That's the end of next month. They will commence construction in July. The payback is ultimately going to be when the system is functioning, right? Because of obviously you're now going to have distribution working the way that it's supposed to work. So the distribution companies are now going to pay back their share of the total loan, right? So basically, how it works is this. All distribution companies in the nation, many Nigerians don't know this, but all the distribution companies in the nation are 60% owned by these private owners that came in under the privatization program. But they're all still 40% owned by the federal government. We still have a large minority stake. So with the 100% of the Siemens deal funding requirement, the distribution company owners will have to pay the 60% back based on the profits they will now make when Siemens has fixed the problems that had led them to not make the profits that they wanted to make. And then the government will pay back the 40% that they owe as a result of their minority stake.
Setting this clearly on the table, the discos would have to work with Siemens.
That's correct. They're not giving ahead. This is a very mischievous reportage that was out there. Fake news that that there was a plan for distribution company that the federal government was making distribution companies give the assets to Siemens. That is false. It was never part of the program. It is not part of the program today.
National grid.
Yes. Okay.
Why do we evade this question? Why do we still have a national grid that keeps collapsing? Why don't we allow states generate, transmit, distribute?
Okay, so these are the issues, right? What we're doing, and I'm glad you asked that, because we are actually in the process of breaking down the monopoly, right? So under the previous national grid setup, you have this single set of distribution companies, transmission company, and then generation companies. What we are doing is we have now introduced, this administration has introduced in fact, it was just this year, we introduced the willing buyer, willing seller arrangement. What that is going to do is it's going to break the monopoly in the power sector. What it means is if I'm a German company, an American company, a Chinese, any company, even a Nigerian company, if I have resources, if I have money, and I have the ability to build infrastructure that would allow me money to buy power from our power generation companies. Because, like you said earlier in the program, we're able to generate up to 11,000 megawatts right now today. So if these guys come in, they have the funds to provide the infrastructure. We are going to allow them as an administration to buy power from the generation companies and distribute independently to various cities across the nation. We're running that as a first test case in Lagos in particular. So we have opened up the door for that. NERC is already beginning the process of issuing licenses to those who have the proven capacity to be able, who have experience in the field and who have the capacity to be able to do that. So we're breaking the monopoly of the distribution companies.
All right, I have more questions, but it's just fair to go and speak with these callers who've been on the line for so long.
Right.
Okay, let's start from here. Okay, you gone. Good morning.
Oh, good morning.
Hello, morning. Please take 30 seconds. Let's make it pacey. I'm sorry.
Morning, Wemimo.
Good morning.
Yes, right. I was on the line before, but somehow, it didn't get to you.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Welcome now. Welcome.
Good morning to you.
Good morning, my brother.
I believe that your government is biting too much that it can chew. There is a whole lot of projects. They sound very attractive, but I don't think you can complete it, on time. But then, I believe you. Can you kindly publish all the projects and timelines?
Oh, I have done that, my brother. If you go to my Twitter account, you will see all of that. I have done that.
Excuse me. Let me finish.
Okay, please.
Including, for example, by December, what we should be getting. By June, what we should be having in each of these projects. Because I listened to you before on several other radio stations, and you're saying, wait until 2021 for the power,
phase one of the Siemens deal, the December 2021. That's correct.
2021. By 2021, we have 2 years before this government leaves the scene. What is going to happen before then? And you are only talking about distribution. What happens to generation?
No, that's why it's important. Thank you for that question, my brother. Because if you didn't,
give us details of generation.
Right. Let me answer you.
Thank you. Thank you. Adewuni, very, very quickly.
Yes, please. So the Siemens deal, right? And I have all of this on my Twitter. In fact, it's not even just on my Twitter. Anybody who really wants to know, and will just put in the little bit of effort to Google the Siemens deal, Siemens power deal, Nigeria, you will see all the details. There are 3 phases. Phase 1 is distribution. Phase 2 is a joint arrangement between generation and transmission and distribution. Phase 3 is the same thing, generation, transmission, and distribution. The reason why phase 1 is for distribution exclusively, and why I said there was a forensic technical audit of distribution infrastructure for 6 months, is because Mr. President in his wisdom said we're no longer going to be throwing billions of dollars at power generation projects when we already have the ability to generate 11,000, the ability to transmit 7,000, but only the ability to distribute 3,000. So let's address distribution first. So what we're doing is that the December 2021 timeline is for phase 1 and distribution to raise distribution capacity from the current 3,000 megawatts to 7,000 megawatts. That means all the power that is currently generated and or transmitted from what is generated will now be distributed. That's double the current capacity that we'll be seeing in our homes and businesses around the country.
All right, let me hold it here. Michael is here from Ekpe. Michael, good morning.
Hello, good morning, ma.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to your guest.
Yes.
Please, I want to know the project that is being done in Southeast. And if there's any project in Southeast, I would like him to list them.
Are you just joining the show? We started off with those at the start of the show. I guess you're just joining us.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm just joining.
You'll have to catch up with that on Facebook. We already itemized
There's a recording there, right?
Yes.
Okay, great.
The live feed will be on Facebook.
Please do watch it, my brother.
I'm sorry. We're running out of time. We can't go back to that. Chika is here from Marina. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Wemimo.
Morning.
Yeah. Good morning to your guest.
Good morning. Thank you.
I wanted to ask a question that bordered on road infrastructure, but since people have actually moved on.
Yes. We've had 1 hour.
I just want to know what the question was anyway.
Okay, the question is that I actually want to challenge your guest.
Okay.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Let him go back to that Amansi Enugu Road.
Okay.
And see if there's any substantial work going on there.
Again, that road.
Wow, that's a the thing about it is, look.
That's the second
Yeah, we have
person.
had, exactly. We have now had 2, I think even 3 callers talk about that section. What I have said is very clear. The Minister of Works was there literally a week ago, 7 days ago.
He's been there. Does not mean work is ongoing. Did he just go to appraise the project?
I'm coming. Yeah, well, of course, that's what he does. It's oversight. He goes, he appraises it. He says, look, this is what they. In fact, when he went to Amancia, ironically, when he went there, he actually told the contractor that you need to speed up work. That the work that you have done is not up to the money that has been paid. That's what he told the contractor.
So if we're not impressed with the job done, what are we doing about it?
No, that's what I'm saying.
To pay
he
some.
told them that we have paid you a certain amount of money, but the work that we are seeing is not up to the money that we have paid you. Therefore, expedite and work faster. That's what he said.
Let me take some comment from Twitter. I'm just trying to go around because you have just a minute to go. Lagos Ibadan Expressway is taking forever, says Joy Forever. Obomosho Ilorin used to be good, is now in a bad state. Oyo 2, Ilorin to Lokoja, E2 to Ikoma bad. CECC is reusing old rail lines from Ido Oshodi. Really? Yet they spent billions of naira, and it says power is also almost non-existent. We also have comments. Oh goodness! Can I keep up? Jamil says to please ask the guests to put more light on Mambila hydropower.
Oh yes! Oh
How
my goodness!
we skip that? I mean that.
Oh my goodness!
Can you do that in 30 seconds?
Well, I can do it in less than a minute. See, this is where we are with that, right? Just last week, we were at the International Court of Arbitration (ICA) with a company called Sunrise Power and Transmission Company. That's a Nigerian company that we have been locked in legal battle with. The same story of power privatization, where the previous government in 2013 gave basically ownership contract to Sunrise. They didn't have the capacity or the funds to actually be able to build the project, so they just held the asset, held the Nigerian government to the jugular for the last 5 years. Now, finally, at that level of the International Court of Arbitration, we've been able to reach an agreement to make that contractor basically step aside with some small sum of money so that he'll leave us alone and we can actually begin construction.
So we're paying him off for almost no job done.
No, for absolutely no job done. Simply to get him out of the way because we are contractually obligated by a previous administration to his company. It's absolutely terrible.
I have a big problem with those exit clauses. We seem to always put ourselves in a bad place.
No, at the end of the day,
it's an absolute waste of money.
At the end of the day, my sister, if leadership is not patriotic, if it's about what you and I can get inside of a matter, then this is what you're going to get.
Is this government doing the same, putting those clauses in these contracts?
Absolutely. How would we have done that? What we're trying, give
me a yes or no on this.
No, of course not. The litigation that we're breaking is so that we can begin construction. We are beginning the construction.
But in these contracts, we are not also tying the hands of Nigeria by putting what you call the death bill in these contracts.
The kind of PNID scandals. No, we're not doing that.
All right, we need to go now. Ajuri Ngelale is a presidential spokesperson of public affairs.
Fast.
That was 1.5 hours all gone. Thank you for coming in.
God bless you. Thank you for having me.
Nigeria, thank you for joining the show. Tomorrow morning we're back. I'm having a full, you heard it. We're having this crossfire tomorrow with the former presidential aspirant Adamu Garba, who is asking for the continuation of the Almajiri system. He's agreed to come for a crossfire on the show tomorrow. I'll see you again. I'm on social media at Wemimo Sport. The Money, Business and Economy show coming up right up.